All right, so I'm gonna do Ashley's introduction. So these are the things we're going to cover. So in order, we're just gonna introduce ourselves, who we are, Eric and I particularly. And then we're gonna talk about EXP, of course, and why this model of EXP is working so much. Some of you are already here and you already know some of this, but it's always a good refresher because there's always new stuff that we're bringing up and we're talking about, right? So then we're going to talk about how EXP actually supports the agents. There's a lot we're going to go over. I was talking to Hillary a little bit before we got started, and I kept saying, "Oh, we're going to be talking about that. Oh, we're going to be talking about that," because I just want to get into it and start, sharing everything. So, and then a little bit about our team Limitless, and that's just our EXP organization under Lynn and I with Erock. Erock started right with us. So, actually, let's just introduce ourselves. Why don't you start this time?
Okay.
Yeah, you introduce yourself first.
Okay.
I'm just gonna mix it all up.
Yeah. Thanks, Ashley. My name is Eric Jones. I've been a realtor since 2003, so 20 years. My wife's been a nurse for about 12 years. We've been married for 16 years. 2 kids, 2 boys, and she joined me about 3 years ago in real estate because she saw how much fun I was having at EXP. And so I moved to EXP 4 years ago, and Jeff's the responsible party. He asked me to stop by and jump on a Zoom actually and poke some holes in EXP. I'd never heard of it, and it just clicked with me. It just made a lot of sense. I was with only 2 brokerages in my whole career, Realty executives from 03 to 09 till they went out of business here in Salt Lake anyway. And then I was with Equity after that. So that's good.
That's actually where Hillary is right
Yeah.
now, with Equity. So the reason I called Erock is because obviously I had looked at this before him and I was thinking about making a change, and I wanted to make sure I wasn't doing something stupid because it kind of seemed too good to be true. So Lynn and I, for years and years and years, have had an office in Sandy, and we ran our property management company out of there. We have a nice portfolio of rental properties, and that was just kind of like our hub. So when I got licensed, I licensed with Keller Williams. That was in 2009, but I always worked out of our other office. So this office actually was the catalyst for us moving brokerages because we were remodeling. We had to gut this, and well, we didn't have to, but we were fortunate enough to be able to gut this and upgrade it. It's nice one. You like it?
Yeah, it's really crazy.
I mean, it's got a great energy to it. We just love it. We're just kind of moving closer to home. We live in Draper. But at that time I thought, well, why don't I just get my broker license and we just be on our own? Because I really didn't even go into Keller Williams very often. So but when you look into that and you look at taking on the liability and the extra job of compliance and all that, Erock always says, I never wanted to be a broker. I thought about it for a minute until I looked into it. It's like, yeah, it was just like, I mean.
So you took all your classes too.
Yeah, I took all the classes, 120 hours of classes, and I never even took the test. Because I just kind of said, I don't know that. So in hindsight, I guess I could be an associate broker or whatever. But I called a friend of mine in Las Vegas that was with EXP, that I was familiar with him from another mastermind group that I was part of. And same thing that I did with Erock. He invited me to get on Zoom because his sponsor in EXP is in Canada. So Matt, you guys are going to meet Matt. He's going to be part of our team meeting on Monday. He's going to jump on Zoom with us. That's cool. Yeah. So he just told me about it. It's like, yeah, this sounds great. I'm going to do that. I'm not going to be a broker. But I called Erock. I called a couple of friends of Lynn's, and he was like, hey, will you get this? Will you get on this Zoom call with Matt and take it? Anyway, so a few of our friends came with us right out the gate. So it's just been a fun ride. It's been a fun ride, and our family's growing. You guys are part of our life because of EXP. I wasn't doing this at Keller Williams, right? So that's what we're here to talk about, is like why EXP and what it is. You're investigating other brokerages. Joel is a new agent. We got Nathan up in Oregon that's with us on our team. That's what you should do. I mean, find out what else is out there. I've told you this before. It's like, I'm not attached to what you do with the information we're going to share with you. I'm happy to be able to share it with you, but we're all different, right? You were talking about the recruiting with the pre-licensees that you're kind of helping with the testing at this real estate school. And now they're asking you, well, how do I pick a brokerage, right? It's going to be different for everybody. There is no one brokerage fits all for all agents. So what we're gonna talk about is the fact that EXP is really thriving right now. This is an interesting time in real estate in the market, and a lot of brokerages are not only losing agents, but some of them are shutting down. And some of them are migrating to a model more like this versus the old fashioned model, which Eric's going to talk about in the middle. So we are profitable, we are debt free, we are investing in other companies, which is really awesome. We're going to talk about some of them because you and I, Hillary, were talking about like getting a new book of business and different lead sources and stuff like that and getting that momentum going. EXP has that in spades. I mean, there's actually too many. You're gonna have to like pick and choose so you don't get overwhelmed and dilute your attention so much that you really don't get traction in one source. So, and some of that is because EXP acquires other companies and it's under that umbrella of EXP World Holdings. It's pretty exciting. So we're growing. I'm going to show you a stat here in a minute.
I think my main question right now is why are you so excited about EXP? You don't own it. You're not a broker. So why are you so excited? It's because we become owners.
Yeah.
That's why we get so excited about it.
We can talk about it.
The fun part about the whole thing is that as you're doing business, I mean, if you look at it from that perspective, Hillary, that if you are part owner in something, you want to see it grow and prosper. And that's why we have the
Yeah.
passion we do.
Well, that kind of goes back to what I was mentioning on why I came here, because I was thinking about being a broker, and then literally to Lynn's point, I found out I could build like a broker here, but I didn't have any of the responsibility of being a broker. EXP absorbed all that. So we're going to get to that part, but we're going to talk about how all EXP agents are owners in the company, and we get to, if we're helping the company grow, we get to share in the revenue as well too. So that's an exciting part for us, and everybody's again different and attracted for different reasons. Some people might like the training, and some people might like the tools, the lead sources, all that kind of stuff. But it's pretty cool because if you see on this slide, EXP actually shared, so what we were just talking about in that revenue share, $204 million back to their agents last year. Company dollar that came in, they share half of it back with the agents that are helping the company grow, and they're still profitable. So there's a lot of companies that didn't make money last year, and they certainly weren't sharing $200 million with their agents. So to be able to do that and still be profitable, be debt free, have over $100 million in the bank, acquiring new properties, it's pretty awesome. So here's a couple of slides that I just found recently as I was just doing some market stats, and Mike Del Preti is kind of an independent analyst that does a lot of research on brokerages, the market in general, and real estate. And this one, I gotta look at the slide because it's so new.
This one's from the investor.
Oh, this one's not this
Yes,
slide.
it's from my.
Yep, you're right. The next one is. So this is actually from EXP's investor presentation website, because we're a publicly traded company. So there's all the information you need at your fingerprints. So this just kind of shows how low their operating expenses are. Because we're cloud-based, we don't have overhead. We don't have bills. And in contrast, some of these other companies, how much they spend per transaction and per agent on just staying in business is part of the reason why they're not profitable. So here's what's happening in the industry, right? Agents are moving brokerages all the time, right? And you see the top list there are cloud-based brokerages over the top, where the growth is happening right now. This is just from Q2 to Q3 of 2023, okay? This is the agent count. This slide kind of shows a little bit more dramatic fashion, I guess, that these brokerages they're talking about on the bottom, their structure is a little bit different. Eric's going to kind of get into that, the model differences between, you know, the old-fashioned model and the newer models. What's happening? They're leaving the old-fashioned model, and look where they're going. The growth is in the online businesses. We were talking about that in other industries too, like Airbnb and Uber and Amazon. It's just the way things are done now with technology and stuff like that. So that's kind of like a brief overview about how solid EXP is, why we're here, and now Eric's going to kind of talk a little bit about why it's working out so well. So clicker for you.
Perfect. So kind of back to my story that we started out with. When Jeff called me about looking at EXP, I had no intention of moving brokerages. I was just fine where I was. I've been in the business a long time. I talked to my broker maybe twice a year. Like, Merry Christmas, and, you know, sometime, you know, during the rest of the year, I was pretty self-sufficient and I didn't really need the brokerage, so I was just fine with it. So I did it as a favor to really help Jeff out and see if it was a good move for him. And what really opened my eyes to what was happening is I saw something I'd never seen before, and I thought it was brilliant. Like Jeff said, I never wanted to be a broker, never wanted to take on that liability and ownership. So I knew that I'd never have like a big team and a lot of leverage and all those things that is the appeal of becoming a broker or owning a franchise. So that's what changed for me and why I was so attracted to EXP. So what we're looking at right now, this is actually the old-fashioned model that's been around since 1906. Coldwell Banker actually created the top-down model in 1906, where they have, you know, basically a big brokerage and they have agents, they have expenses, and everything feeds up to the ownership. But what's really interesting is in the 70s, Century 21 actually perfected this model. They really took it to another level, and they said, let's create franchises that we can sell to other top agents that want to create a brokerage. So the franchise model, the first step here is international. Now, this is really kind of like your real owner, your investor. So like in Keller Williams, it's Gary Keller, for example. In other brokerages, there might be 3, a dozen, or 50 investors that create that international. And what they do is they go look for top agents and brokerages and sell regions to those agents. So you can actually own a region in some of these brokerages. And then those regional owners, they go sell franchises to other agents. And then their job is to go out and produce real estate by finding agents. But what's really interesting is once you have international, you have regional, and you have franchise owners, they still need to go out and hire recruiters, and they need to, get a building, and they need to actually find people to work in their business before they've actually created any revenue at all, because all the revenue comes from the agents. And when I look at this, I kind of see a pyramid. It's kind of like a pyramid business, because it's a top-down model. And curiously, the agents are the only ones that have no ownership in this old model. And reversely, every dollar of income has to come from the agents to pay all of these owners back. This is the way it's been forever. It was, 70s, Century 21, and then over 80s and the 90s, it was, Remax, Keller Williams, that have really just worked this model. You can see all the different companies up here, Berkshire, Sotheby's, all of them that are very similar. So what's happened in the last 15 years in our world? It's changed so much. So you probably recognize some of these businesses like taxi cabs, Blockbuster, JCPenney's. These are kind of old models in other industries. What we've had in the last 15 years is with the move of internet apps and the ease of access of technology, is we've seen new companies come in and completely flip the industry that they're in upside down. Like Uber was kind of laughed at by taxi cabs at the beginning, remember? Amazon, look what they've done to companies like JCPenney's. So this is kind of the movement. It's not just in real estate. So what our founder did in 2009 was create the very first cloud real estate brokerage similar to these companies. And what that's allowed them to do is completely change the structure of how agents are paid and how the ownership of the company is paid. So EXP is the new model, and we're going to have copycats because of how successful this is. No one's going back to Blockbuster and renting videos, DVDs anymore. Those days are gone. I don't care how good your marketing pitch is. Netflix did away with that, right? And now there's copycats of Netflix, not copycats of old Blockbuster, right? Mm-hmm. So that is the movement going forward. It's a brilliant model. So what EXP said, actually Glenn Sanford, he was with Keller Williams for years, had teams, he had brokerages, and in 2009, we all kind of know what happened, which in the industry is real estate was going slower, kind of like right now, right? But the expenses would stay the same because he still had buildings, he had, employees and copy machines, everything that every business did back then. He said, there's gotta be a better way with the internet and technology that's coming up. So he created the cloud brokerage and said, this is already better, but how do we make it really, really good? So we're gonna actually make the agents the most important part of the brokerage. We're gonna put the agents on top and we're gonna give them ownership and we're gonna give them revenue in the company as well. Now, Jeff mentioned earlier kind of how we save our expenses. Our split is an 80-20 with a cap. But what's amazing is EXP actually out of every dollar they collect, 90% goes back to the agents. EXP runs on 10% only. And the other brokerages, like from the previous slides you just saw, they can't do that. They have too much expenses that's been built in over the past 50 or 100 years. So that's why this new model is working. So just in the last, we're not really picking on Keller Williams, it just happens to be the example that we have. But in the last, this 4-year example, Keller Williams grew by 3,000 agents in that 4-year period, where EXP went from about 15,000 agents to 89,000 agents now. Tremendous growth. They're coming from the old-fashioned brokerages to EXP, and it's not because we're offering signing bonuses, it's because it's better for the agents. So we're going to talk a little bit about how EXP supports their agents. I think that is it.
It can be.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think it is. Well, so this is the ideal situation for any brokerage, right? Or anybody looking for a brokerage and finding out what they have to offer. You want training, you want leads, you want support. Like, who do I call? Where's my tribe? You want ideally to have ownership and share in the revenue without being a broker, right? I mean, that's like the ideal situation, and that's what EXP provides. So this is a couple of snapshots that actually jumped into our 3D virtual campus. We're the only cloud-based brokerage that has this. This is where all the employees are. This is where the trainings are done. This is where the staff is when you need to have an accounting question. The brokerage offices are all super accessible by just simply logging in. And that's Ashley's little avatar right there.
And you can see I walked into the Utah room and there's our broker just right there waiting to talk.
Just hanging.
She actually said, hey, Ashley, what do you need? And I was like, nothing, just taking a screenshot.
Yeah, it's really kind of funny. I walk in there with people that are sitting next to me on my computer. It's like, hey, what can I do for you? Oh, I'm just taking a tour. I got, Eric or somebody sitting here next to me. We're just walking through. So it's very collaborative. It's pretty unique for a lot of people, but you get used to it. When you're in there, you're talking to somebody. If you walk away, just like in real person, the sound goes away. So it's not like you can hear everybody in the XP world. If you're standing next to somebody, you're actually talking to them, and then they have all these sound bubbles in there. We have private conversations.
Well, and if you have an agent that is interested in EXP in another state, you literally can go in the world and talk to their state broker to introduce them, which is really cool. And any other place, I don't know where you'd be able to.
I've done that several times.
Yeah.
I can get a hold of our broker or our transaction specialist or people on the staff quicker than literally sending the text saying, hey, when you get freed up, can you give me a call? And then you wait for them to call you back because they're working their jobs. But I'm not driving across town, going to the office and walking in and waiting until they're off the phone or whatever. Anyway, the access is really instantaneous, and then there's all kinds of help centers in there. What I also mentioned is in there is all the training. What's unique about EXP is the trainings are all done by the top agents around the country. The ones that are, running massive teams, or maybe they're social media experts, or they're really great at open houses, or whatever their niche is, they're sharing all their secrets. And as some of you know, not all brokerages are like that. I was talking before we got started with you about some of the competition within the brokerage, and this is so much more collaborative. This is what I thought real estate brokerages were when I got my license, but it wasn't the experience I had on the scarcity mindset of being each other's competition and stuff. So it's really awesome. And as I mentioned before, there's more than you could possibly attend. Sometimes they have over 80 hours a week of live training. I mean, you literally, your little avatar is sitting in a seat in an auditorium, and you can raise your hand and ask questions and actually have Q&A and live interaction with the presenter that's up on stage. So Utah has their own trainings, going over contracts, going over, they have their own team meetings, our transaction platforms, all the things. There's state level training that happens every week as well. And then of course, we here at Team Limitless, we do Monday masterminds, team meetings on Mondays, and then every Wednesday during this time slot. This first Wednesday of the month is when we do this EXP overview, but every other Wednesday we have an outside presenter coming to the office. You can come in here live and have lunch with us and network and visit and learn. But we also do it on Zoom, as you guys on Zoom know. Oh, hey. Oh, I thought I saw myself there. I thought it was Chase. I thought it was my son. I was like, hey, Chase, what's up? Sorry, you guys didn't see it. It's my old picture. That's funny. So let's have Erock talk a little bit about lead gen. We got some amazing tools there for that.
Yeah, so we can actually talk about this for hours. We're not going to do that. We have so many different lead generation tools with EXP. It's incredible. So when we started 4 years ago, I would say it really wasn't this way. But I think probably when I was thinking about this morning, the most important thing that anyone could take away from this overview, in my opinion, is if you want to sell more real estate and you want your production to go up, there is no better place than EXP, period. And I couldn't have said that 4 years ago. Because I looked at the revenue share and the stock ownership with my previous brokerage. I knew I was just never going to be offered it. I'd sell 100 houses in a year. I was never going to get a call from that broker and say, hey, you want to be an owner? How about some revenue? It wasn't going to happen because it's not set up that way. So that's why I came to EXP. But the lead generation has changed everything for anyone. So even if you don't care about stock ownership and you don't want to have any revenue in the company, you should be with EXP if you want to sell more real estate, period. We have a KV Core platform, which is a $500 a month platform. Chime is also that as well. And we have KV Core for free that's included, and we have Chime for $40 a month if you prefer that one. What it is it's a complete full website, lead generator, autoresponder text and emails. And it's just really a business in a box that you really need. And they're great platforms. I prefer Chime myself over KV Core. It's really easy to use, but it's fantastic. This is our Revenos kind of a, conglomerate of a bunch of different companies that generates leads for our agents. And this is what's so powerful that wasn't here a few years ago. And just 2 months ago, it was reported that EXP had given back 16,000 leads to their agents this year alone from these programs. We can't go into all of them, but relocation is pretty obvious. We have, every major relocation company is working with EXP because of our network and how well agents work together. We have, bank, and we have regular lead generation. We have military. We have cash offers with express offers for people looking to move quickly. My favorite on this is definitely Bundle Select. It was just released. And this, I think, is the biggest opportunity in lead generation I've ever seen in real estate. Basically, it is a employee benefits package for any company that's free for the employer and free for the employee. And you can actually be the agent on record of any company with Bundle Select. So you could take your sphere of influence of a couple hundred people that you know to 2,000 in a month if you took advantage of that. Talk about generating income. And the nice thing is it saves money for the employee when they buy or sell a house, and it's completely free. It's the most brilliant thing I've ever seen. And it's exclusive to EXP. We bought it. They've been in business for about 6 years. They already represent about 7 million employees with Adobe, Microsoft, Salesforce, and Boeing. So we get to add to that. So it's a pretty exciting program. That's all I'm going to say about it. But I think it is the biggest thing I've ever seen. We also have a bunch of other tools and affiliations. These are either free and included or at a discount with EXP, and we won't go over all those, but I'm sure you recognize some of them. EXP Luxury was introduced just about a year ago, and if you are interested in luxury real estate or want to be a luxury agent, this is an absolute no-brainer. Nobody has what EXP's put together, and one thing you'll notice when you're with EXP is when they release something, it's already better than whatever everyone else already has. They won't release something to be equal. So when luxury came out, they said, we have made arrangements with these companies, Barron's, Robb Report, Mansion Global, the Wall Street Journal. So when you have a property that fits in that luxury arena, which is about 800,000 or more, your home is going to be marketed on their websites in their real estate section. And it's something that only EXP offers. So very, very cool and easy to win a luxury presentation when you have that, and none of the other companies do. We also have a commercial division that is, it's incredible. It actually has a cap on the commercial side of it. A lot of commercial brokerages do not have caps, so they have $1 million a year. They pay $200,000 to the brokerage, or whatever that percentage is. We have a $20,000 cap commercial, which is unheard of and tremendous tool. So commercial agents can be a part of it. It's a completely separate brokerage from the residential that Jeff and I are part of. But we can send referrals back and forth and even grow a team of commercial agents with a revenue share, which is pretty powerful. The final benefit I'm going to talk about is health insurance. We have a great health insurance program with Clearwater that gives all of our agents a discount. And about a third of all realtors across the country do not have health insurance. It's because we run our own business. We're basically self-employed. So it was a big concern. We've actually had this for a while because it was really important to EXP and our CEO, Lynn Sanford, to have this in place. And people are saving thousands and thousands a year. So it's not just about money, it's about, health and happiness too, right?
Yeah, that's awesome.
Jeff's going to talk about what really clicked with me at EXP and why I came over, which is the equity portion.
Yeah. I mean, can we all agree? Well, actually, let me ask, how many of you are selling so much real estate that you're sustaining your lifestyle and you're investing for your retirement, your future, and your savings?
Yeah.
Right? I mean, today, not as many people could maybe say that, even if they were a couple of years ago, right? But do we want to do transactions till we die? Lynn and I started in real estate as investors because I had my own company and I knew I wasn't going to do that forever. So we had to do something else. What I loved about EXP is I'm just doing what I was doing at my previous brokerage, but I'm being compensated differently. So as an example, I was with Keller Williams for 10 years. We were on a split and a cap model at Keller Williams. It was $18,000 a year. I capped every year. So I paid $18,000 next year, another $18,000. Over 10 years, that's $180,000, right? And that's okay. They needed that. Erock talked about all the expenses they had. They have to charge the agents that so they can keep the doors open. But when I left, I didn't take anything with me. By contrast, I haven't even been here 5 years and I have more ownership in this company than I paid to Keller Williams in 10 years. And I'm just doing what I was doing over there. So let me show you how that happened. There's 5 different ways you can earn or acquire stock with EXP. Like when you come to EXP and you do your very first transaction, they're going to award you some stock. Better than a certificate or a congratulations or a pat on the back. When you fully cap, which Erock kind of mentioned briefly, but we're all on an 80-20 split and we cap at $16,000. Then we go 100% and we don't have a split anymore with EXP, just a small transaction fee. But when we do that, they give us some more ownership in the company. I sponsored Ashley into EXP. When she did her first transaction, she got some stock, but they also awarded me some stock as well because they helped the company grow. So when you sponsor an agent and, you know, you're vested in their success, you're also financially incentivized because EXP is gonna reward you for helping them be successful. So that's pretty awesome, but even better than that, you can reach certain production levels and be eligible to get your entire $16,000 back in the form of ownership. So that's how our ownership has grown, because Lynn and I have enough business that we're considered icon agents. And so we actually are given our $16,000 cap back in ownership and stock. So that's pretty amazing. Another way you can accumulate stock is by taking up to 5% of all of your transactions. Whatever your gross commission is, it could be $1 million, 20,000, whatever it is, 5% of that can go towards purchasing the stock at a 10% discount. So that's pretty amazing. And that just happens automatically. Do it right at the title company. It disperses the EXP, they put it in my brokerage account, and I can log in the back end and kind of watch that grow. So that's a great way to provide something for your retirement by just selling real estate, right? That's over and above those transactions. And most of the old-fashioned models that Erock was talking about don't have that extra component. You either help a buyer or you help a seller. That's how you get paid in real estate, right? So let's talk about one other thing while we're talking about retirement, to make another comparison with EXP. This is just an example of a typical retirement plan. Like, a lot of people set a goal to maybe have $1 million for retirement. It seems to be a nice round number. This example uses 900,000 of a retirement plan. If you had $900,000 saved and for your retirement, that's after tax, right? That's why I asked if everybody was like killing it with their business and they're making so much they can live off of. They're also building their retirement plan. Financial advisors are going to tell you that you can only take 4% out of that per year without running the risk of running out during your retirement. So that'd be $36,000 a year or $3,000 a month. And just by comparison, Erock was talking about the old-fashioned way of the brokerage models. This is kind of the old-fashioned way of retirement. I'm not saying you shouldn't do this, but you have another option at EXP. So I'm going to give you an example. This could be a 2-year plan. It could be a 5-year plan. But let's say you are at EXP and you want to have some of your friends, like I did with Erock. I called Erock. I said, hey, I'm moving over to this other brokerage. You check it out with me. Erock said, I'm coming too. Actually, he said, I'm coming whether you come or not. So Erock is on my first tier at EXP. So with this plan, if you had 6 people come over with you, okay, maybe it's 3 a year, maybe it's 1 a year, however long that takes. Let's assume they're all cappers. So they're all paying into $16,000 to EXP. Some of you know, maybe some of you don't know, but out of the $16,000, how much do you think EXP is going to share back with you? Do you know how much EXP is going to share back with me because of your production?
2,500.
Well, $2,800. $2,800 out of that $16,000 comes directly back to me because I help the company grow. I get that from Erock every year. He caps every year. And EXP says, thanks, Joe. Erock's doing a good job. Here's $2,800. So if the $28,000 with $2,800 with 6 people, that's $16,800. Now, here's a comparison. I don't usually make this comparison, but that's pretty much covering your cap if you did that. If you had 6 buddies that came over to EXP with you and they're all selling 6 or 7 homes a year and they're capping, you're 100% because EXP is sharing that portion back with you. And so they're basically paying you back for your $16,000. That's a pretty good example. But let's go a little bit further. Let's say that those 6 agents each bring in 1. I always like, I want to have a reveal and I always blow it. That's why they're laughing, because most people assume that if Ashley brings in Shayna, for instance, which she did, that the compensation would be less on a tier 2 than it is on tier 1 of what EXP is going to share back with me. So the spoiler, EXP actually compensates you more on your tier 2. So that's $3,200. So if you had 6 agents on your tier 2, that would be another $19,200. So 12 agents is, again, to match up our example, $36,000 a year. Which one do you think would be easier? Saving $900,000 after tax, or finding 6 agents over time that want to come to this model versus a different model and EXP is gonna reward you for that, and then maybe they bring. And this is very doable, guys. I'm past this. Here's the cool thing though. There's also a tier 3, 4, 5, 6, and 7. So there's other opportunities to make revenue there. I've also included a couple of slides that are going to show an example of a couple of agents teams that have really taken attraction or recruiting or team building seriously, right? This particular agent has 521 agents on his team, and EXP every month shares approximately $30,000 back to them because of the growth of that team. Here's a bigger one. This agent has 5,300 in his EXP organization, and you can see that his monthly revenue share check is pretty substantial off the production of other agents. EXP says, hey, you're helping the company grow. They're bringing in this revenue to the company, and we're going to share it back with you. And it adds, to me, it adds in a predictable nature to real estate, because it's really hard for us to know what transactions we're going to close next summer or, you know, next year. It's just, you know, fluctuates so much. But like I mentioned, Eric, I know that I'm going to make $2,800 for his production next year. It's already there, as long as he's still selling real estate, which he could, his production could go way down, and he's still getting cap because he sells a lot of real estate. So here's another example that just kind of put in your mind. Compared to revenue share, if you have a goal in mind, how much would you want per month for retirement? To be able to travel, to spend time with the grandbabies and build pools in your backyard and do all those fun things that people want to do in retirement, right? This is going to show you if you say you pick a monthly amount of $20,000, well, then you're going to have almost $5 million in your retirement account to draw upon to be able to pull that much per month. Or you could do something like these guys have done. So that's my last slide on this. And we're almost done.
We're almost done. Oh, it's really cool while you're explaining that. I was calculating in my mind, like my revenue share, like, oh my gosh, I got $1 million in bank.
Yeah,
Right?
it's awesome.
For that revenue share that's been created. And you know, that's really what clicked for me with EXP, is I knew I'd never have that opportunity anywhere else. So thank you.
Okay.
Thanks for the phone call.
Yep.
So now we're talking a little bit about real briefly why our growth in EXP means so much to us. Because in my old brokerage, equity, like when they opened a branch in Nevada or Idaho, I didn't care. It didn't affect me because I was in Sandy, Utah. Well, EXP, when I joined with Jeff, we were in the United States and half of Canada. That was it. Now we're in 24 countries and we're expanding even more. Why is that important? Well, we can actually have agents on a revenue share team anywhere in the world. So we have agents in multiple states and even a couple of countries, maybe 3 countries, right? Around the world. So when an agent, you know, has someone in Hong Kong that sells a house, if they're in your group, you're actually going to get paid exactly the same as if they were in West Jordan, Utah. Pretty incredible. And EXP is allowing us as agents to bring other agents from other countries in and help them open those countries as well, which is something really exciting and some of us are actually working on. So that's kind of a synopsis of why I have been so excited about EXP. Is I was attracted from the ownership piece of it. That's what I was excited about, because I knew I had never had that before. And the revenue share really got me excited when I learned more about it. And I'm going to share something that I didn't understand at the very beginning. I was already in EXP, already enjoying stock, growing the revenue share before it really clicked with me. And I'm like, how does this even work? I mean, I'm looking at these checks are just stupid, right? $320,000 a month. That has nothing to do with this agent's real estate sales or stock ownership. That's just revenue share with its 7 tiers. And I think this is impossible. How can it even work? But finally it clicked with me and said, EXP is 100% cloud-based that is profitable running 10%. So that's how they can give that other 10% back in revenue share. So these checks are going to get bigger and more absurd, and EXP is going to become more profitable and still stay debt-free as they go to other countries.
Let me give an example of one of the agents with EXP that brought over he was running the largest independent brokerage in the nation, Chuck.
Yeah.
Chuck Fazio had in one market center, imagine this, it's over 900 agents in one market center. That's unheard of. I mean, if he wasn't the top, he's the top one or two in the entire country. Massive feat. Well, when he came over to EXP, his boundaries and his borders were lifted on the agents that could be on his team. And I don't know his exact number, but the last one I saw, he had over 8,500 agents on his team. Because now he could build anywhere, not just in Arizona, in his one little market. So that's a comparison of the possibilities of the old-fashioned model, which he killed it in. And then he comes over to this model and is almost 10x his agent count.
Can I say something about the backstory on that? Is, yeah, he had 900 agents, but if you hear their story, they weren't making very much money. They were hardly making anything, and they were struggling emotionally, mentally, so many different ways. And that's what we hear from a lot of these people that move is, yeah, I had built this great thing, but I didn't have a life. And now I get to impact people's lives so much bigger and greater, because that's what's so fun about it, is that you can actually help people do these things. You can help them have a better business. I mean, we collaborate all the time on how we can, help each other get more business, or, how do we get into an open house so that we can, try to get buyers, and even the back and forth from other states and countries is that we get reached out to from other EXP agents. The other 90,000, we have a select group in Salt Lake. We don't have very many, right? How many people we have in Salt Lake, our area in Utah? How many agents do you think
Just
we have?
EXP in
Just
general, about
EXP.
300 probably.
So we've got about 300. So you've got all of these other agents. If they want someone in Salt Lake City, if you're in the workplace, you can get those referrals, which that's the stuff I like. I like this part, but the stuff I like too is, how can I make my business and our team have more business?
Yeah, and we really do work as a team, just nationally. I think at EXP, you go to the events, we have multiple events every year, and you can really feel the difference that people want to help you. And I don't think in my first 15 years, I received any referrals from out of state. But it just never happened. I don't know. It just never happened. But since being at EXP, we've had probably about 10, 12 referrals from other states, other agents, and it's always been EXP agents. I met at an event, or just they look me up and found me and say, hey, they need an agent, and they're just have a client that's moving from Idaho to Salt Lake, and they just recommend you. So that's pretty cool.
What are we? We wrap?
Yeah. Oh yeah, you get.
Oh yeah, it's just some of the things that we do as a team, the events, stuff like this, the trainings and getting together and collaborating. I was explaining to you, Hillary, a little bit before the difference between a traditional team like something like Shane have versus when we're talking about our team, it's just our EXP organization that's linked to that revenue share organization that we've joined because of somebody in our group. And so that's pretty awesome. These are just some slides of different trainings that we do. Like I said, we bring in different instructors every single week to help you be better at your business, help you with your SY, your clients, and different things you can. I saw Jade already here. Jade's with Fidelity National Title. Boom, they've been here. So again, why EXP? This is just kind of a summary. We're the fastest residential brokerage ever. In history. Yeah, we mentioned these points. We have all of these points. So a couple of questions for you to just think of in your mind. Even us here, at EXP already, is where's your business going to be in the next 5 to 10 years? We got to be purposeful about our actions today so we can benefit from them later on, even next year or 5 years, 10 years down the road. What if you're not here? What are you missing? What can we provide here at EXP that you don't already have? And how would that change your life and your business? So that's kind of the wrap up of our presentation, and like right on cue, we had a sponsor walk in the door. Right as we're wrapping up. Is this Anthony?
Yes.
Anthony, come on up here. Anthony's gonna tell us a little bit about his business. So, I'm gonna say you're a unique sponsor for us in this setting, because Anthony is a chiropractor. And most people think, we're gonna have a lender or home warranty or something like that, so I'm excited to have you. Come on.
Well, the cool thing about you, though, sorry,
We
is
did
that
more.
what I've noticed since we've been with them for years is they're about health and
Oh,
and personal development, which falls right in line with what he's going to be.
Yeah, so when Cherie called me, she was like, you know what, a lot of real estate agents have stress, and I was like, you sold me at stress.
I'll pass this around, or I'll let you guys take one, pass it down. But yeah, like I said, I'm Dr. Anthony Schuller, and what you might not know about me is that I'm an affiliate doctor with a nonprofit called the Wellness Champions. And what we do is we go around, and our whole goal is to bring wellness to the workplace. Because a lot of people, when they're working, I would like to call you guys occupational athletes, because professional athletes get a lot of care, but occupational athletes, they tend to just keep going and they don't get an off season. Whereas the professional athletes, they at least get an off season, right? So today what I want to talk about is something called stress overload syndrome. And really, as it pertains to you guys in real estate, is sales. So stress overload for sales. Because one of the things I would say is super impactful on your ability to connect with people is the level of stress that you guys are dealing with. So I'm not going to pretend like I know everything about your business. I was once upon a time a realtor in California, in Southern California, back in 2008. Bad time. But one thing I do know about your business is that it's performance based. Would you agree?
Yes.
Yeah.
And it's also very much a go business, right? Okay. So another thing I know about that type of business is it's stressful. So that's why I want to talk about this. And one of the things about stress is it gets kind of just blanketed as not a big deal. Everybody has stress. But what people don't realize is 3 out of 4 actual doctor visits are stress related. And on top of that, there's about 70% of stress related ailments are what people are going into the doctor for. Things like sleep issues, things like depression, skin issues as well. Think about, like hives, or even you could think about tension in the shoulders, stress, clenched jaws. You start all the heart issues, right? Like you can relate 70% of issues just to stress alone. So that's why I want to talk about this, because it's really important for you guys. Especially again, as we get to not just your physical health, but also your business health and your ability to connect with people. So what I want to talk about is really, if you open up the sheet there, go to the next page. There's a picture of brain there. And what I want to talk about is habits and patterns of our life. So one thing I do know is that your rhythms and rituals equal your results. And one of the biggest rhythms that we get in the sales jobs is first thing in the morning, we open up our computer, what do we do? Or maybe it's your phone now, right? You open your email. Almost always first thing in the morning, straight to the email. And what we know is physiologically, this puts you in your hindbrain function, which is the brain, I believe it's on bottom, that's in red. And that's your emotional brain, because now you're reactionary. And when you start your day with something like email and immediately going into reaction mode, you actually set your physiology to be in a stress state from the beginning. So I'm going to talk about that a little bit more in a second. But the reason why this is so critical to your guys' business is when you're in that hindbrain, it actually turns off the forebrain, which is the one that's shown on top. So these two parts of the brain are constantly working 24/7, whether or not you realize it or not. And when you are working in that hindbrain, it downregulates your ability to think creatively, to connect with people, to come up with solutions versus just reacting to an email, maybe a client who might be irritating you a little bit. Instead of coming up with a creative solution, you kind of have a knee-jerk reactive response via email or text or what have you. So what I want to do is help give you guys some tools to mitigate this stress response, so that way you guys connect with your clients better. Does that make sense? Cool. All right, so another thing is that our current solution to stress is really not a good one. And that is, our current solution is medications. Most people, anti-anxiety medications, or they're on some other medication that's treating another symptom of stress, like sleep medications, or maybe it's an ADD, ADHD medication like Adderall or something of the like, because you're so stressed out that you can't even focus, right? So what I want to do is I want to provide you guys with some simple non-drug related stuff, because as a chiropractor, naturally I'm going to be giving some natural health solutions. And so I put on there on the first page, I give you some things that you can do, and I categorize them for you, some emotional things. And so let's just talk about the emotional. And by emotional, you can also say mental. And when we talk about the email situation, when you first open up the email and you're just immediately in reaction mode, so I want to give you a simple solution to that. Instead of first doing that, I want you to always start with setting a schedule. That one simple thing, and it could be the night before you go to bed for the following day, or it could be the morning of, whichever. But as long as it's before you open the email, and that way your schedule, you've already prioritized and categorized in your brain what's most important. And then when you open up the email, you actually have a framework that you can bounce it off of. That one simple thing, as simple and as silly as it sounds, can really help make a world of a difference. Because then when you look at your emails, again, you can sit there and say, okay, does that fit into the one or two things that I have to get done today? Yes or no, right? And then now you're starting to think a little bit more creatively, a little bit more analytically, and it's going to really help you out in the long run. I'll give you another physical one. Honestly, just movement. How many here do you guys work out on a regular basis? Perfect. Oh, this is awesome. I love it. So exercise. And what I wanted to say is as it pertains to exercise, you know, if you could do something daily, that's huge. At a bare minimum, once a week. All right, at a bare minimum once a week. And here's one thing I know: if you don't schedule it, is it going to get done? Probably not. Probably the emails are going to over, right? And so then it goes back to the schedule, right? Schedule it, you know, make sure it's on your day, so that way whatever's on there gets done, and then you have extra time for the rest of the stuff that may maybe not be that big deal. And then another thing that I want to talk about is really just the chemical, so the foods part of things. So a lot of people, when you are, you know, on a go type work, you're going from one showing to the next. You don't have time, so you just go through the drive-thru and you're eating something quick, and that's not really good for you. So one of the simple things: sugar and alcohol is such a killer when it comes to stress. By the way, anybody here take vitamins? You ever seen the B stress complex? Ever seen that? Why is it called B stress complex? Because your B vitamins get zapped when you're under a lot of stress. So your body uses B vitamins as a fuel to create other things in your body, but it just depletes yourself of B vitamins. Other things that deplete your body of B vitamins are sugar, alcohol, all right, fried food, bunch of stuff like this. It puts your body in a physiological stress response where now you actually are burning through these B vitamins. So it's not that B vitamins treat the stress, it's that the stress depletes the B vitamins. So we're just trying to replenish your body of B vitamins, so that way you can do other things like produce melatonin and serotonin for sleep. Right? So you start to see this is a big picture. So eat whole foods, shop around the perimeter of the grocery store, you know, don't eat the packaged stuff. It's real simple. Get some movement in your life. If you want to do something, I love that you're not working. Like get outside. I mean, in the wintertime, I have fun, but you can get out there and walk on the grass and bare feet if you're really stressed. Like these are the simple things that you can do. And then again, schedule it. Now I want to do something fun. How many people here want to live to be 95?
I'm almost there.
Yeah,
You're living so far.
Yeah. Now, most of the time I ask that, people go, depends, right? And what would you think it depends on?
A healthy 95.
Healthy 95, right? Again, as long as I'm healthy and I can live, you know, meaningfully well, then no doubt, right? But you know, so the next question is, well, when's the best time to get healthy? Right now, right? And then my biggest struggle as a practitioner, as a doctor, is really just to get people to take action. Because what happens in traditional Western medicine is people wait until they're sick. And now, because they didn't make time for their health, they're forced to make time for their sickness. Does that make sense? And then they're in the hospital and they're having to make these like game time to big decisions, whether it be a cardiovascular event or something, whatever it is. And so what I always want to do is let's be proactive. Let's get you guys to act on your health instead of react to your health. Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm.
So what I want to do is, and my whole point in coming here today is give you these tools, but also then give you a special offer. And so my special offer for you guys today is, as a chiropractor, I work with a lot of pain, back pain, neck pain, headaches, stuff like that. But I also work on babies. Actually, I have a lot of experience with pregnancy and pediatrics. I also do a lot of sports stuff, hips, shoulders, things like that. Headaches are also a big one that I deal with. But if you guys know anybody, if you have a family member, or even if it's you guys, if you want to help, have another tool for combating stress, which that'd be a whole conversation, but chiropractic can hugely combat how your body deals with stress. I want to give you a special offer, and that's honestly for $40. I'd do a full evaluation consult for anybody who's affiliated with your group. I want to extend that, so if they're not here today, I'll still extend that to them. The only thing is you do have to give me a call and at least get scheduled today for a future event. All right, so for a future date. So as long as you get scheduled, I'll honor the $40. And that $40 evaluation, which normally in most doctors' offices, most expensive visits, usually $300 or more. That's going to include a full consultation with myself, examination, as well as any type of digital X-ray that might be needed. All that'll be included for $40. So that's something I want to extend to you guys. If that's something you want to take advantage of, I brought her, she's my office manager. She can get you scheduled for any of those future dates. All right.
Awesome. Hey, speak to the headache thing again, because one of our agents, Kim's not here today.
Yeah.
Because she texted me and said she had a severe migraine.
Yeah. So
I got some.
yeah. So migraines are definitely something I deal with. Actually, personally, I've dealt with them myself, and implemented a lot of the techniques that I would implement for you as well.
Not for me, it's for somebody else.
For somebody else, yeah. Okay. But yeah, so headaches, I would say it's one of the most common things that I would actually deal with. Most people come in with something else and then they're like, oh, by the way, I also have headaches, and then I can take care of that. But two things. Posture, and when I say posture, I'm not just saying how you hold yourself to the outside, right? But what happens is over time, that posture you just showed me, you kind of hunched over the laptop, right? Over time, that actually structurally changes what's happening under the surface, and so that's why I'm a big proponent of X-ray. And when we start to see a breakdown in the normal structure of the spine, and so for the neck, again, without going way too off on a tangent. You should have a backward C-shaped curve inside your neck for around 40 degrees is what's normal. And I would say on average, most people when I X-ray them, they're well under 10 degrees. And not only that, but a lot of them they're actually going the opposite direction. And the reason why this is related to headaches is because on the back side of the spine here, inside the spinal column is where the spinal cord sits. When you start to lose that curvature, it creates this tension on not only the spinal cord, but the nerves coming in and out, and those nerves go up into the head. And so that can definitely cause a lot of headaches. The second thing is actual individual joint motion movement. From C1 to C3, they've shown that in many studies that these nerves are highly responsible for headaches. And when those joints get locked up because of poor posture over time, or maybe you were in a car accident 10 years ago and you never really got properly rehabbed, or whatever it might be, sports injury related in the past, and then posture, right? Yeah. When those joints get locked up, it creates a lot of irritation to those nerves, and that also triggers migraines. So
great answer.
Yeah. And then hydration, and I would say on a nutritional basis, hydration, but specifically I would say your electrolyte balance. So a big one for headaches is enough sodium intake would be a big one. Cause I would say common knowledge up until more recently was sodium's bad, right? Low sodium, whereas now people are, hey, sodium's actually responsible for
Yeah.
a lot in our body, so maybe low sodium is not a good thing.
I literally just listened to a podcast on that.
Yeah, so
Sodium and headaches.
it's huge, it's huge. So,
Super cool.
yeah, if there's any questions, I'll hang around for another 5-10 minutes or so. We got some tacos for you guys from Costa Vida, so eat up. We got some good stuff for you.
Awesome. Anybody have any questions for him?
You work on a lot of kids.
Yeah,
My
so
daughter's been complaining with headaches lately.
It's gonna get worse. because of
She's
this.
almost 8.
yeah.
With the
Yeah.
phone.
So yeah, so when the reason why I ask like that is typically kids most commonly don't have a lot of pain issues, so that's why I said let's look into that.
Yeah.
But yeah, I've been adjusting my daughters since literally the day they were born, and I've dealt with. So prior to move, so I moved here from Southern California in January. And prior to that, I was working in practice that was, I'd say 50%. Maybe 50-60% of pregnancy in pediatrics, so, yeah.
So you mentioned a lot of people that get sick, then they try and treat being sick. They got sick first instead of being, trying to be healthy. Does chiropractic kind of fall into that category where it can be preventative as well?
100%. Yeah, so let's go back to neck pain and headache for a second. That person with the loss over the curve road said it's bending in the wrong direction. That person gets rear-ended versus somebody who had a normal spine gets rear-ended. The person with a normal spine is gonna have significantly less injury than the one with that. So that's just like right off the bat, like that's just somebody, for example.
Prep for that car accident.
Right, that's just related,
Healthier, stronger,
Yeah, exactly.
less injuries.
Exactly. So you're less susceptible to injury. That way, when the impact does happen, you're more resilient to
I could attest to that.
Mhm.
So there's that. I would say in nutritionally and stress related, yeah. I mean, when your body is working better, when we start to what we call remove subluxation. Subluxation is a word for a stuck joint that's causing irritation to the neurology. When we start to remove that, now your ability to handle the stress better is improved.
Yeah.
Well, studies have shown, going back to that brain model, when we actually adjust the spine, we light up that what's called the prefrontal cortex, like a Christmas tree. And one of the only ways to turn off the primitive brain is by activating the frontal cortex. So you see, there's so many different facets, but when we start talking about holistic health, this is definitely holistic health, right? It's dealing with the foundational structure and frame of your body, and then we also talk about nutrition and things like that, right?
Awesome.
Yeah, cool. So. Anyways, thank you guys for having me. I really appreciate it. Again, if you want to take advantage of that offer, it's $40, but you gotta schedule it today.
Website.
That QR code is his website, by the way, actually put on there.
Thank you, appreciate it.
Yeah. That'll be on the recording we send out as well. Cool, thanks, Anthony.
Yeah,
Very
absolutely.
informative.
That was awesome.
Yeah, thank you. What was your first name?
Jeff.
Jeff, thank you for having me.
Yeah, absolutely. Hey, guys.
I do actually.
Yeah. That's all you gotta know. Yeah. I'm either Ashley's dad or Lynn's husband, so. Remember Jeff. Okay, you guys on Zoom, I'm gonna cut you loose. We're gonna have some lunch here and network a little bit more. Joel, good seeing you. See you, Nate.